Hello there, guys, and welcome back to my channel for a brilliant start to 2023. The boys have already flipping ruined it. First and foremost, Happy New Year to everybody. Try to look at the positives, I guess. My God, what do we even do? Even on days where we get gifted goals just by pure luck, right? Luck of the draw, luck in football. Even on those days, we can't do anything fucking useful. Like that was literally, we had 2 attacks all game. One was ended up in a lucky goal. It wasn't really much of an attack. And then a great crossback comes Ziyech late on. And that was it. Maybe you could argue the Aubameyang thing he could have shot instead of tried a weird layoff. 3 then. Flipping brilliant. A whole 90 plus minutes of football and we have 3 attacks. Fucking great. Like, people know I'm not as critical of Graham Potter as some other people are. I'm like, okay, let's see what he's got and stuff. But what was the game plan in the second half? Like, we barely managed to attack any, like, at all in the first half. Somehow we're 1-0 up anyway. And then we keep doing the same lot of nothingness in the second half. Like, if we at least tried something different and that didn't work, fair enough. And I'm not saying change the whole system, and that is now what I'm asking for in terms of changing it. But change the way we tried to attack. And we didn't change anything. We just kept doing the same thing. We changed players completely. We had Gallagher in the double pivot by the end. But it's still the whole, the way we attacked was identical. I just don't understand this whatsoever. Like, I'm so disappointed. I'm so disappointed by this, seriously. Like, our players are just so inconsistent. And that goes from top to bottom. Not a single player is excluded from that. Not even Thiago Silva. Not that he was bad today. I'm not necessarily talking about today. But in general, our entire squad is so inconsistent. Pretty much every player in our squad can have a great game, can have a shit game. You just don't know. You just don't know what you're going to get. At this point, I'm like, yeah, I mean, we're going to criticize Graham Potter today, and rightly so. And a lot of people in the chat, obviously, right on this case. But I don't even know if any manager, if the players are consistently inconsistent, what can you do as a manager? Because how can you ever pick a team if you never know who's going to be good or not? Like, it's just outrageous. It's genuine. Like, how can we have such a balanced game in the last game, in the first half? Sure, at home and away, different things, but still, be so balanced. And then today, like, we basically had no midfield, even though we played the same midfield as last game. Like, they cut through us on every single occasion. Now, obviously, missing Aspie is not missing Aspie. Having Aspie instead of Reece James, huge deal. Big problem. But surely, like, Aspie is, he's not it anymore. But it shouldn't, like, he's still better than Forest players. Like, it shouldn't be, just from Reece to Aspie, it shouldn't be this bad. Like, come on, man. I am fuming with this, honestly. Seriously annoyed. Thank you to my now 3 guests for joining me. I'll start with you, Pies, why don't I? You just said it there before we went live. What a surprise we didn't win. If I'm honest, yeah, you're right. But it's rarely triggered me as much as this second half. Like,
I'm honestly, I'm so far done with this season. I can't do it anymore. I can't get happy about winning because the next game or the game after, we're going to be absolutely shit. I want to scream, I want to shout, but I don't think I've got it in me. I mean, I definitely have, but I don't think I want to because there's just no point. There's no point. You know what I mean? They're going to try and rebuild the squad. The manager isn't going. We're in the position we are. It's a load of fucking shit. There's nothing to play for this season. We might as well just put all our eggs in the Champions League basket and hope for a fucking miracle or something because the Premier League, we are absolutely dog shit. These players cannot be trusted and the manager looks fucking clueless in so many games too. So, you know what I mean? It's just from the players to the manager, it's just shit. They're all shit. Like, let's be serious here. There's not one that's shitter than the other. It's just a collective pile of shit that somehow we have to figure out. And it's going to take a while. And I don't know what to say anymore. Certain players today, one in particular really pissed me off. And I mentioned his name yesterday when everyone was gassing him. But I don't understand how you can play so good against Bournemouth. I get it. Nottingham Forest away it's a hard place. They've got a good atmosphere. That does not mean you play like that. That does not mean you pass the ball at 0 miles an hour. That does not mean every time you have a chance to turn and pass forward, you pass it back. It's like basics. How oh my God, I don't know. Like, if I'm that manager, like, I'd genuinely be like throwing fucking bricks at them. How can you not be like, if he is not mad after that, we are in serious trouble. I'm fucking fuming. That was one of the worst performances I've ever seen. We had 0 shots in the second half. People were saying the first half was... I said to you, Laurenz, I don't think we played well in the first half at all. I don't remember us having a chance, apart from the goal. We were shit. Absolutely shit.
But if the first half was shit, what was the second half? Because the second half was a lot worse.
It was like Newcastle away. It was fucking awful. Like I can't do it anymore, man. I fucking love this club. I just can't. I'm losing care, honestly. I don't like. It's just so predictable. Like I don't know what to say. This is not reactionary either. I've said this for ages and ages. How many streams have we done together where it's been the same outcome, the same football, the same thing? Like, it's so annoying. I don't understand how it can be this physically this bad. Like, you can have an off day, but you know, it's I don't know. Just move on to someone else. I can't. I don't even know what I'm saying. I'm just so fucking frustrated because this team is shit. And the manager looks clueless. We've won once in 7 games. Like, this was a must-win game today. If we was to get anywhere near top 4, like, it's just forget it. Honestly, it's fucking shit.
Yeah, man. Honestly, like, I don't know what I can add to you. Before I take it to Clutch, Chi Joseph donated £18 before we ever went live without saying anything. So I appreciate that a lot. I wish you would say something so I could show my appreciation. But yeah, well, thank you. Clutch, your end. Similar reaction to Pice? Different? What do you think, man?
I mean, it's not much different than Pius. I mean, let's be honest. Like your title of the stream, what was the plan? Like, it just, in my opinion, it looked like the plan was very clearly... Every time we went and did anything, I almost lost my mind watching Thiago Silva and Koulibaly pass the ball back to each other for like 5 minutes straight. Like, I almost lost my damn mind. Like, what are you doing? And why are you doing that? We just passed. We were too slow on the passing. Nobody was making themselves available. And then when we did do anything, we just tried to force it down the right-hand side, which they stacked the right-hand side. There was much more space on the left-hand side. And we didn't at all ever rotate it to the left quickly enough to even start to do anything. And it was just like every time Raheem Sterling got on the ball, he just lost it every time. Like, I don't know what happened to the man's dribbling, but he can't dribble. He does never one-on-one dribble anymore. He always seems to make the wrong decision, always gets dispossessed, and almost cost us a couple of goals getting dispossessed in our half of the field. Thank you very much. And it's just like, what is happening? And the midfield today, the midfield was like one of the worst I've ever seen. Like, how many games do you see where Jorginho just doesn't exist? Can anybody tell me what he did? Because I can't remember a single thing Jorginho did. Not a single thing. And that's it. And when you have Jorginho on the field, you never say that. Either he's really shit or he's really good. There's no in between. There's no disappearing Jorginho. It just doesn't happen. He did it today. Like, I just don't know where he went. Mount, other than his run at the very start of the game, I don't know. I don't know what he did either. And Zakaria, there was times he was decent, and then there was really times he was really bad. Again, and then it was just that right-hand side for us. It just seemed like it was just absolutely getting overrun. And we didn't have an answer for it. We had no answer. So for me, I'm just like, I don't get it.
Yeah, seriously. I think you made a good point with the Jorginho thing. I don't think he was just diabolical in like you say, it was just invisible. And it was so strange because our whole midfield was so high up today. Like, not even Jorginho held a bit of a line. I'm more talking first half. In the second half, there was just no logic all over the shop. Like, everyone was just everywhere. In the first half, when there was a little bit of structure still to it, even then I was like, of course we're going to get hit with one counter after the other if all our midfielders are basically at the edge of the opposition's box. And then we have 40 yards of nothing. And then our centre-back too, and maybe Cucurella. Like, how is that ever going to work? Like, I just don't understand. Like, there is playing football, and you play a pressing and attacking football, and that obviously leaves gaps in behind, and you're going to be susceptible to counterattacks. A lot of teams suffer that problem. The better you are, the better you deal with that problem. That's why trying to be an offensive team when you're not a good team is really difficult and often doesn't work out. But there still has to be a little bit of like balance and security to things. Like, on every single occasion, Forest played a long ball and they were dangerous. Like, every single time. And that just cannot happen. And because that kept happening, we never got any flow and control of the game because we lost the ball way too much. And every time we lost it, they played one long ball and were dangerous. How can you ever dictate a game and try to, put so much pressure on the opponent who are in general defending well that you force openings and force to create chances. How can that ever happen when you never can sustain any pressure because you constantly give the ball away and on every single occasion you get counter-attacked? Now, Forest did do that well because against Bournemouth, similar things were happening. We just won the ball back instantly every time, and that's why we kept up the pressure. But Forest somehow managed to find ways to get a ball past us every time. Is that Forest doing things well? Is that us being slow to every second ball? I don't know. Did they all celebrate New Year's too much? I don't know what they were celebrating from last year. Yeah, okay, we won the Club World Cup, but it's a flipping long time ago. So I don't know what they were there to celebrate. I can't lie. But it's just, like Clutch said, what was the game plan? And even if there was a game plan that I'm not aware of, it clearly didn't work. So why didn't we try a different game plan? Do you know what I mean, Aaron? Thank you for joining us. What's your thoughts, man?
Thanks for having me, bro. The game was it was so shit. Like I can't begin to explain. It just felt like we were the team in the relegation zone. Like they made us look so shit, especially that second half. That second half, there was only one team in the game, and it was them. And we're lucky we even came away with a point because they were all over us, and our goal was a lot more fortuitous because of the deflection onto the crossbar, but it just all round was not a good day at all. And I don't really know what the plan was either. I don't know what the plan was from the jump. I don't know what the plan was with the substitutions, the timing of them. It's just all around, it's just a mess.
Bro, I would love to let you go into more detail of your thoughts. Unfortunately, your mic is super crackly, so maybe try figure that mic situation out, and then we'll go back to you, bro. Because the mic's like I say, just crackly. Weird. You try figure that out. I get up the lineup on screen because I'll be perfectly honest with you, I wasn't unhappy with the lineup when it came out. I really wasn't. Like it was basically the team we were talking about in the preview yesterday. I said let's not change too much. We didn't change too much. The only change we made was Aspie instead of Reece James, which of course is a serious downgrade. I'm aware, but I still don't think it should warrant a downgrade of performance to this extent. Like I really don't, because our second half against Bournemouth wasn't great either. Absolutely not, but it was still miles and miles clear of both of the halves today, what we did against Bournemouth in the second half, because we had our chances to score, unlike today. And we still defended better against Bournemouth, even though they had a few chances, than we did all day today. Like, it was genuinely diabolical. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, before we get into the player ratings, we have 350 people watching. I appreciate you all if you've tuned in. Please do subscribe. If you haven't already, they'd be massively appreciated. We're on the road to 20,000 subscribers. Have a new subscriber account, so please hit that big red subscribe button down below. And smash the like button as well. I mean, like I say, over 350 people watching, so let's get to at least 150 likes. Just one click of a button, it doesn't cost you any money or any time, and it helps to spread this videos out to more people. Please make me feel a bit better, please. That'd be nice. Aaron, shall we try again? Try to speak. See how it's at.
The bearers is still quite bad.
Ooh. Try again.
Is that better?
Not really. It's kind of the same crackling noise as it was before, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. I don't know what's happening. It's weird. Is this StreamYard being weird again, or is it a mic issue?
I have no idea. I'll try. Hold on.
All right. Clutch, I'll start with you then. Not really sure what to talk about Kepa today, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. But I guess we'll start with Kepa. He made some decent saves in the first half when they were through 1-on-1 very early. Made a good save there. The goal we conceded obviously looks really bad because it conceded through his legs. But I'm not really sure you can be that critical because, I mean, Aurier gets the ball. Aspie just doesn't even understand that he's there supposed to defend. Like, what? Why you stood in front of Havertz in the whole first place in that situation? Like when the corner comes in, why are you in front of Havertz? Havertz is the guy supposed to head away the near post crosses. So what is Aspie doing even further forward away from just the whole logic of defending the set piece? Just do not understand. Ball's up in the air. Yeah, Pulisic gets an elbow in the face. Is it enough for a foul? Maybe. Like if we're really lucky on a day, maybe they disallow it, but I don't think it's quite enough for us to sit there and complain too much, if I'm honest. And then Aurier just chests it down and volleys it straight into the ground under Kepa. But I thought Kepa overall was decent. But I don't really know what rating to give him, if I'm being perfectly honest, Clutch. But what about would you go with?
I thought Kepa was decent. I mean, he did get nutmegged for the goal, and that's kind of always hard and tough. But I don't know, 6.5? Because I don't think a lot of what happened was his fault. It's just he made a lot of good saves that he needed to make. I mean, especially off who was it, Brennan Johnson, who got the first opportunity of the game.
Yeah.
And he made a good save there. So, I mean, I don't think it was his fault what happened today. I'd give Kepa a 6.5.
Yeah, 6.5. I'm not sure if I want to give him slightly above average because there was a couple of occasions where he had to make some decent saves. At the same time, other than the one you just mentioned, were any of them any difficult? I'm not saying he could do anything about the goal, really. And obviously, where they hit the bar, I can't really do anything about that either. I guess it's that 1v1. So I'm going to agree with just above average with you because of a 1v1 save. And that is always good for a goalie. So I'll give him that. I'll give him that price. Is that 1v1 save enough for you to give him slightly above average, or what would you give him?
Well, the goal went through his legs, so that was good.
Do you think he can be blamed for that much, or not really?
Well, yeah, if the goal goes through your legs, of course you can be blamed. It's not good. But apart from that, I'd still go. I'd probably go. Probably 6. Probably. I don't know. Shouldn't have let the goal in though. Can't let, as a goalie, you can't let any shot go through your legs.
It's true, but like the guy shot from like 3 yards away from him, so like he doesn't know where the ball's going to go, and there's obviously no time to close your legs in time. So what can you do about it?
He could have got out quicker, but
yeah, that maybe is.
And you're supposed to keep the line on those kind of situations.
I mean, it would have been a risky one. Obviously, after Havertz heads it up in the air, Kepa could try and punch that ball as it comes down because he's the one that can use his hands. Pulisic is never going to win that header. So actually, maybe I'll actually agree with that on Pice. I will actually agree. I'll take mine down to a 6. Aaron, shall we try the mic again and your rating for Kepa?
Firstly, is it any better now?
Better. Not amazing, but better. I think we'll go with that.
Okay, cool. Yeah, he didn't have all that much to do in terms of like making like big saves. He made that one-on-one save, but I don't think he can necessarily be blamed for the goal that was conceded just because it was quite close to him, and I don't think he would have had time to react in order to actually stop it. So
no, I agree with that. I think Pice makes a fair point that he maybe could come for it.
Yeah, no, I get that as well, but I just don't put too much fault towards him for that. So I think I'd go for a standard 6.
Okay, first, let's give him a 6 then. Ladies and gentlemen, before we move on to the other ratings, I need to get through a few super chats here. First one by Mofligerian. Whichever way you like your name pronounced, mate. He says, too many players want to leave. That's our problem. I don't know if that's the problem. I don't know if it's that simple because why wasn't there a problem against Bournemouth? Do you know what I mean? I feel like those types of problems we only ever mention when we don't play badly. Or when we play badly. And then it's always like, oh, everyone wants to leave. But I think it's more just the inconsistencies. I think that's our serious issue. And I'm not 100% sure, if I'm being perfectly honest, if the inconsistencies are a club problem. Are they an individual's motivation problem? Are they just an individual's ability problem? Are they a managerial problem? But a managerial problem that we've had for like 4, 5, 6 managers in a row with different sets of players? I don't know. I'll be perfectly honest. I mean, does anyone want to touch on that? Does anyone agree with that? Otherwise, I'll move on to the next super chat.
I mean, does Havertz want to leave? Does Sterling want to leave? Does Mount want to leave? Does Zakaria want to leave? Like, everybody, other than maybe Pulisic and maybe Jorginho, anybody here want to leave on that starting line?
Wants to leave at all.
And that's what I'm saying. And I said maybe Jorginho. I mean, Pulisic wants to leave if he doesn't get playing time, but even then,
he's not 2 games in a row. He's not going to be too complaining.
Yeah.
Like, he's not going to complain too much right now.
You can't really say that's the problem that too many players want to leave. If when I look at the starting lineup, maybe 1, 2 are the ones that are going to leave, and even the one is kind of stretching it. So, and I'm going to say it. He's probably our best attacker today. So say whatever you want to say.
No, exactly. Next super chat by President Jafar. He says someone give Avram Grant a goes hitting call. I think you're stretching that a little bit now, but I understand it's not nice at the moment. It's not fun at the moment.
Avram Grant's the manager of Zambia, by the way. If anybody wanted to know.
Avram Grant, isn't he like 75?
I swear he looked 75 already in 2008. But yeah. Next super chat by Luis Garcia. Appreciate it very, very much. Saying every time we have a good performance, we don't revert to type for another 5 to 7 games. Nobody seems to ever learn predicted a draw in this game. Fair play. Not sure if that makes you any happy now, unless you put money on it. But yeah, it's a serious issue. Like, it's one good performance. I'm not sure if it's reverting to type. It's just, I don't know. I'm honestly a little bit lost for explanation, if I'm being perfectly honest, because I can't just explain it with Aspie instead of Reece James. That's too simple. Do you know what I mean?
All I want to say is I hope, and this is what I hope, they all just went out and partied too hard for New Year's. That's my only hope. That's all I got.
Like, on the one hand, I see why you say you hope that, because on the other hand, I'm like, imagine that was the case. Like, you would need to sack the entire team if that's the case. Like, genuinely, just play the under 10s. They can't be any worse. Someone said this super much earlier in the chat. Like, they're not even a big youth team hype man. But do we really have no one in the youth team that could play right back who's better than Aspie? Like, really, no one. No one. It's kind of.
Remember last time we used the youth team and we had somebody try to play right wing back? It was Simmons.
Was he bad? I can't remember that part.
No, he wasn't bad.
See, that's what I'm saying. But like, the problem is
he wasn't great, but he wasn't bad.
Right backs out on loan. Like, Duchan Sterling's been out on loan about 17 times when it could have just been a backup. Do you know what I mean? But anyway, CFC Blues with the donation. Is that Indonesian money? I'm not 100% sure. He says there's reason United went for Erik ten Hag and not Potter. Well, because he had a club. Well, both had a club, I guess. Yeah, I mean, United are certainly doing better than us at the very moment, but I'm not sure if it's quite that simple. Right. But anyways, JM with the next super chat saying Kepa made another save when our captain slipped. He did, to be fair, he did. Still think the 6.5, what difference does it make, if I'm being perfectly honest? But I appreciate all of your guys' donations. Keep them coming if you want to get involved in the conversation. And we'll move on to the centre backs. And I think we'll move on to one that, well, picked up a lot of criticism, particularly from Pais in the first half. And Aaron, to be fair. I initially said, I think this is not purely a Koulibaly issue, but also an Aspie and I thought Zakaria didn't have a good game today, if I'm honest, because the right-hand side, like, it felt to me like Koulibaly had to defend the entire right-hand side by himself. But still, Koulibaly was poor. Like, as much as I said that earlier in the first half, the longer the game went on, the worse it got, in my opinion. But still, I think the way it was today, if Zakaria plays like this, Jorginho is as high as he was, and you have Aspie and Koulibaly plays the way he did, I mean, our right-hand side was just like, it hurt my eyes. That's how bad it was. It was really, really poor. Pais, you know what? I'll let you go first in Koulibaly. What would you say about him? What would you rate him as?
He was absolutely terrible. I've never seen worse defense. I can't believe how many times he got beat. I've watched Forest a lot this season as well. That striker is absolutely shite. I don't know how he made him look good. He's genuinely embarrassing. I can't believe how many times he got beat. Like, Koulibaly's supposed to be a good defender. It was woeful. And every time, like I said, when he plays in the three at the back, and I said I can't think he'd defend wide spaces. He got dragged out to the right-hand side this time, and obviously he couldn't defend wide spaces there either, and it's the exact same issue as we have when he plays in the three for me. So
it's true.
I don't see why Chalobah's not playing, to be honest with you. Chalobah needs to start the next game. Cannot have him against Man City's attack. I'd rather Chalobah, to be honest with you. I genuinely would. I don't see how you could make an argument why you wouldn't, but yeah, I also think his ball playing ability. I mean, he had a really nice pass in the first half, but just generally out of the back, it's a bit worrying, to be honest with you. And him and Silva far too slow on the ball today. Just it was so annoying. I'm going to go for like a 2. I thought it was dreadful.
Okay, first, before I move on to that, let me quickly highlight this comment by H. Naku, who put a quote from Graham Potter after the game in the chat. For once, Potter didn't say we tried our hardest or we left it all out there or some shit today. So like he says, our performance wasn't good enough to take the 3 points. We didn't move the ball fast enough, not enough movement, but it would have been unfair to take the 3 points. It would have been. Like, Forest absolutely deserved the point. Absolutely did. Like, our goal was so lucky, and they had, like, it just kept on coming and coming and coming. And to be honest, if they played it out a bit better, they could have absolutely smacked us to pieces in that second half. Like, if Forest were better, we would have gone battered, quite frankly. Like, they didn't have actually that many good chances that ended up in shots, but just because they didn't play it out well at the end. Like, serious issue. Aaron, is it a bit too harsh for Koulibaly in your books, or would you go along with that?
No, I completely agree. I thought he was dreadful. I get that he didn't have the greatest of support with Zakaria and Aspi, who was also shite. But I still don't think that lets him off the hook, because he was some of the rashness we were saying, that it's literally exactly like Rudiger pre-Tuchel. Just he's so rash, and it's like you just need to calm the fuck down and just take 2 seconds to think about what you're doing. But he doesn't tend to do that, and we can't go into a game against City having someone like that at the back, because you only have to look at who they have up front. We will get destroyed. We will anyway, but it will be even worse with someone like Koulibaly at the back based on how he plays. So he really did not have a good game. So I'd probably go with the 2 as well.
Okay, Clutch, would you go along with the 2 as well?
Yeah, I would. I mean, I remember one passage of play where Koulibaly passed it back to Silva, who was just clearly not ready to do anything with it. And then he had to clear the ball far, which wasn't far enough, which ended up getting back into an attack. And I remember Silva giving him a harsh reality of terrible, because he was just like at the back, just so many passes that could have actually just screwed us over. And yeah, he was just a lot rash today. So 2 is probably fair for him.
I might have just about given him a 3, just because I think part of it, I agree with basically every word the Pi said, in terms of he got dragged wide all the time and then got beat so easily. But the fact that he got dragged wide all the time was not Koulibaly's fault. And if that wouldn't have happened, he wouldn't have looked as bad. Hence why I wouldn't have gone quite as low. But hey, 3, 2, what difference does it make for you guys? Go for the 2. There we go. Thiago Silva. Certainly better than Koulibaly. Way too slow passing out from the back. Some great tackles. Defensive solidity, considering the leader that he is and should be. Didn't really help, did he? I'm not really sure. I think as an individual, you could even argue giving him like a 6 or something. But maybe because of just the whole lack of stability and balance, which like he is one of the main leaders. I don't know if that's harsh to push the rating lower, because I just expect him to help that problem. I'm gonna go just below average. I'm gonna go 5.5. I'm gonna go 5.5. Clutch, what about you?
I'm gonna go 6. I think he was average, to be honest. I don't think a lot of the things were his fault, and he did clean up a lot when we needed him to clean up. It could have been a lot. All I'm saying is, if it was Koulibaly and Chalobah, it's probably a lot worse than what it is if Silva wasn't out there. So I wouldn't blame him. I just give him an average 6, to be honest. I thought he was decent. He was really slow on the ball, and like I said earlier, I went insane watching him and Koulibaly just pass back to each other when, again, there was so much space on the left for Cucurella and Pulisic to just push the ball wide to see what you could do with it. But no, we just kept passing it back and then pushing it to the right. So, and he is at fault for that. So I'd give him an average 6. Otherwise, I'd probably give him a 7.
All right, fair. Aaron, would you agree with the 6? Would you go below a 6? Would you go higher than a 6 potentially?
No, I'd go along with the 6 as well. I think there was one moment I remember when I think it was Gibbs White was trying to dribble through, and it's just his know-how and the way he thinks, he was just able to stop it right there and then from being something dangerous. I remember that off the top of my head, but all around, I think it was a bit of an average game. It wasn't nowhere near his greatest, but I don't think he was particularly bad. I can't remember him being at fault for really anything that went wrong, so I'd give him a 6.
Okay. Pies, would you agree with the 6? Would you go for something different?
Way higher. Silva was the only reason we didn't fucking lose the game. He was sensational today. I'd give him at least an 8, and the rest of them will be like 2s. Silva was amazing today. When he leaves, we are fucked. Honestly, he is so good, so good. 8.
8. I think you're overdoing that a little bit, but
individual defending 8 would have been higher more if he
individual defending, but he didn't only defend, right?
Yeah, but he made us not lose the game, in my opinion. Hence why I'm giving him an 8. There's no way you can give him anywhere near Kepa's rate, and he was a cut above everyone else on that pitch.
I mean, difficult.
Did you watch the game, guys? He was by far our best player. He was amazing. Like, what?
I don't know. It was
Apart-
so slow, man. Because
this
he
guy,
defended a few
honestly,
times, sure, but there was
Silva
just
Silva
nothing
deserves
there,
so
man.
much more respect. You guys are going to learn when he leaves. He deserves so much more respect.
I mean, I do believe I said if he wasn't out there, we would have lost today. But
And I agree with that, but that doesn't give you an 8. Do you know what I mean?
it's 11 players, not one. And yes, he is the reason we didn't lose, 100%.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's not like we're saying, hey, he was completely dog shit. I mean, Koulibaly's got a 2. And if Thiago Silva has a 6.5 on the side, I mean, that should just go and show you like he was a one-man defensive crew out there. And again, I don't even think Cucurella was that bad. So we did have Cucurella to help too. Unfortunately, Koulibaly had Aspie, so.
Exactly that. Shall we do Aspie before we do Cucurella? I think so. Pice, I'll let you go first again on this one. Aspie, it's so hard for me because he's clearly awful. He's clearly struggling with every single thing he has to do in the pitch. He's struggling with defending, he's struggling with attacking, struggling when he has the ball, struggling when he doesn't have the ball, struggling with leading as captain, struggling with everything he has to do. But I know for a fact that this will happen every time he steps on the pitch. So I'm not really sure how critical I should be of that because, like, I know it will happen anyway. So that's why I don't really know. But what rating would you give him, bro?
Just by the way, our managers just said this was a hard-earned point, by the way. But anyway, Aspie, I'd go with, I mean, 1, 2, whatever you want to go for. I think he was shocking. Offered nothing going forward. Actually, I'll give him, I'm going to give him a 3 because he did make that one block in the first half, which probably denied a goal when he came sliding across and blocked it. I think it was Gibbs White took a shot. But apart from that, he was awful. But, we know he needs to not be starting anyway. This is part of the problem.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, a 3 from your end. Aaron, what would you give Aspie?
A 1, and that's purely for the bit that Bias was talking about there. Other than that, he was. I don't even want to get into how bad he was, but wow, the drop in class you have when you lose Reece James is ridiculous, and the fact that we still haven't addressed that position as getting a backup in for when Reece James isn't there, because we saw it a lot of last season where he wasn't available, and we've got it again now. But the fact we haven't addressed that is shocking because that is the shit that we have to put up with when Reece James isn't here. I'd rather play a youth player than play Aspie. I just think he's so past it. Like, great serving. No one ever take that away from him, but he's so past it. It's ridiculous. I think he was by far the worst player on the pitch.
I don't disagree. The fact that today, Aspie overtook Petr Cech in appearances for Chelsea with a performance like that is rough. Clutch. A 1 and a 3 so far. What would you give Aspie?
A 1. I'm gonna go with a 1. A lot of our attack tried to push it through him, and I don't know why. I don't know why we're doing that. I have zero clue. Maybe it's because that's what we practiced when Reece James was around, was going through the right, and they just don't know how to play anything else without Reece James. But again, Aspie wanted to leave in the summer. We didn't let him because we didn't want to go get another one. So again, it's like we're causing our own problems. I'm not going to say what I should say, but again, Aspie's just not good enough. He's just not. And it's sad because he's a legend. And just today, especially, there was one moment when Pulisic cut it back into him and he took the shot instead of pushing it wide to Sterling, who was out there, who could kind of get to the byline and get a cross back. But again, it's just not Aspie's game anymore. We should probably say see you later, but who knows?
Hey, we should have done. I will give him a 2, but yeah, wow. And I want to get to something that we were discussing yesterday on the preview that I touched on, which is like why I in the way I suggested, let's play Chalobah and let Cucurella be the guy that pushes forward, even when it's not Chalobah. I think the main issue Aspie and then therefore Koulibaly and then therefore the whole defense had today was that Aspie kept pushing up. We kept losing the ball, and then he was, number 1, way too slow, and number 2, completely out of position to be any use defensively. And I just cannot understand how the game, why we wouldn't shift the game plan. Like, okay, if that's how we want to start the game, sure. But when you notice that clearly doesn't work, why not shift it? Why not let Aspie stay and let Cucurella on the other side be the one that pushes? I don't understand. Is it because then Sterling needs to defend more and he's not going to do it, but then just sub him off? Problems solved.
I can't wait to get to Sterling. There's a moment I really want to highlight with him.
Yeah. No, exactly. So I just don't get that, because now getting to Cucurella, I thought defensively was okay. Like one of you guys touched on it. Like he was at least somewhat there to try and help Silva at times. Now, not always perfectly, because obviously he's running back and they play over the top balls. It doesn't matter who you are. You're not going to stop those over the top balls, are you? But he's not involved in the attack. Like, he just really doesn't get involved in the attack. And this is not a Cucurella problem. This is a tactics issue. I don't think this is because Cucurella doesn't want to do that. But
I mean, Cucurella, for the most part, was standing over there. You know the wacky inflatable guys? Do you guys have those? The guys who, like, they're inflatable and their arms are sticking out? That's basically what Cucurella was doing all day. I watched him and Pulisic over there in so much space, just sitting over there with their hands just standing up, and I just watched us look over, then pass it back towards the right or pass it into Mount, and it just never worked. I don't know what the game plan was, but it wasn't the right one.
Yeah, it's true. Oh my God, what do I give Cucurella? It's difficult for me because I don't fully think this is his fault that he doesn't push higher up. But fact of the matter is, in the game, it would have been useful. But then obviously, would we have been even more open defensively? Potentially. So I don't really know. I'm going to give him a 5. Could be a bit higher, if I'm honest. Maybe it was around average. I don't know. But I'm going to say 5 for now. I might change it. Aaron, what would you give him?
I'd probably go with the 6 myself. I think as of recent, he's started to get a lot better. I feel like he's starting to grow into it a bit more. When he first came in, he looked shit, but I think he's slowly starting to get there a bit. But I do think that in the attacking sense, he doesn't offer as much. I don't know whether it's tactics. You say it's tactics. I'm not 100% sure, but I feel like if he had that sort of license to just drive forward, he would. And I think he's pretty decent there from what we see at Brighton. But the issue with that is then we would have been so open at the back because he was the one helping Silva a lot more of the time. So it's really a lose-lose in that sense. But I do think he's starting to get a lot better with his performances now. Like he's not dropping the stinkers that he was before. So I'd probably go with the 6.
You're muted.
I was said 5 because I don't think it was as good as Thiago Silva, and I gave Thiago Silva 5.5. Maybe that 5.5 was harsh and we should have done 6. But even then, still, I don't think Cucurella was as good as Thiago Silva. So hence why I went below the 6. But fast. Maybe I'll raise mine to a 5.5 for him and the 6 for Thiago Silva. Clutch, what would you give Cucurella?
I kind of echo what you guys are saying. I don't really think it's his fault again. Like, I mean, my roommate could tell you, like, I was sitting there screaming at the TV, being like, get it to the left. There's so much space on the left. And, like, defensively, he was decent. He wasn't the same Cucurella that was getting destroyed before the World Cup. So I think he was decent defensively. And then, again, if you have Aspie, like you said, why are we not pushing Cucurella up? But I think it's honestly just because we want to push Sterling into the attack. We want Sterling to be our main focal point in the attack. And I can't wait to get to him, to be honest. I can't wait. But I'd give Cucurella 5.5.
Okay. Yeah, see, you know how you say it's big. I'm not sure if it's because of Sterling. I think it's almost a bit of a Sarri thing. Remember when we were on the Sarri, and even when things weren't working, we were adamant to always play the same way. And he was just going to play the same way until it worked, rather than adapting along the way while it didn't work. And that's what I feel like is happening at the moment with the Cucurella-Aspie situation. The way we want to play is for Cucurella to be that guy to, like, in a back 4, help build out of a 3, and him be that kind of person. And do that regardless of whether it's Aspie or anybody on the right side. Which I disagree with, but I think that's why we're doing it.
I think part of me wants to say it's also because Mount's on that left-hand side. So when Mount and Pulisic come over, because they tend to, like, interchange over there on the left-hand side with each other, that would end up getting Cucurella in the way of that. So probably that could also be it. But even then, You got to
But
fix
even
it.
Jorginho was more, I guess, pushing over to the left-hand side to the defensive work over there than he was on the right-hand side. Like, just no one was doing anything on the right. Oh, it's like Aurier wasn't because he was way too high, I thought, considering how little control we had. Like, if we have more control, get up the pitch, sure. But not if we don't have control, then stay deeper and make sure you win the ball back because they keep countering us on every literally occasion. Aspie obviously nowhere to be seen, and then Koulibaly on his own. So, yeah, it was a whole nightmare. But fair enough. 5.5 from your end. 5.5. I raised mine. From my end, 6 from Aaron. Pice, what would you give Cucurella?
Probably around that range. I don't think he was at fault too much, but I know you said it's a tactics issue. I think we'll see going forward. I do think he doesn't offer enough going forward, in my opinion. Which I think is we had this debate for like we were talking about this 2 months ago. When Chilwell plays, you obviously get the better attacker, in my opinion, and well, at least on the face of it, you'd think Cucurella would be the better defender, but Chilwell has had obviously moments where he's been really good defensively. So I don't know, 5, something like that. It wasn't. I don't know. Yeah, 5. I don't know, to be honest. Around that range, can't really decide.
I see. I mean, that leaves us with 2 5.5s, 1 6, and 1 5. So we stay at the 5.5, and then we'll get to Jorginho. Pice, do you agree with what Clutch said at the very beginning, that he was just invisible as such? Like, that he wasn't a day where he was just awful, like he has every now and again? Clearly wasn't a day like where he was very good, like, for example, against Bournemouth. Do you agree that he was just invisible, or do you think he was poor?
Can I say something real quick before you answer, Pius?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
He had 43 touches today.
And how many did all the others have?
The highest is Silva with 133.
Yeah, I mean, like that's one.
Pulisic had more
like,
touches than Jorginho, by the way.
He basically played like that. Well, and Aspie was here, and Cucurella was somewhere there. That's basically how we played. I'm like, well, yeah, obviously, it was like we play a back 4 today, and we didn't give Jorginho the ball to dictate. We still let the centre backs do it. And we already knew from the other formation, from the 3 at the back, that we constantly have issues then because our centre-backs pass it way too slowly, which is why I'm not giving Thiago Silva like an 8, because you can't, you can be as great as you want. If you are part of the reason why we play too slowly, I'm not going to give you super high ratings because that's, to me, insane. But it's also not, is it Jorginho's fault that he wasn't there to help with the build-up? Is that tactical instruction? Considering I've only ever seen Jorginho do that, and then every now and again at the moment he's way higher, it screams to me tactical instruction. I just know it is working. So I don't know. But Pice, I was going to take it to you. Do you think it was poor? Do you think it was just invisible? How would you word it and how would you rate it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, the half the problem with me is it was so slow on the ball. It was just sort of give it to Jorginho, there was nothing in front, give it back, go out to Cucurella, pass it around the back a bit more. There was just no sort of urgency. Like, for me, Zakaria was the one who ran with the ball most. I just don't but Mount, every time he got on the ball, lost it, from what I can remember.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. Jorginho was just, for me, average. There was times where he got overrun, which we know can do. But just because, for me, I think he could have shown much more urgency on the ball. And just gone long a bit more as well. Like, just hit the sides, do something. Like, it's just clueless. Yeah, I like Jorginho, but I'd give a 5. I think he was below average.
Okay, 5. Clutch, what about you?
I give him a 5. I don't know how much of it is his fault. I mean, Aspie had the second most touches on the team, so only behind Thiago Silva. And one thing if Jorginho isn't the one dictating possession, what is Jorginho really good at after that? Not much else. So for me, I'm like, what is his point out there? So, and I guess that's why he ended up taken off at some point, was because of that. But again, yeah, I'd probably give him a 5. He just wasn't involved. It was invisible, which is a non-Jorginho thing to do. But hey, I guess, again, like you said, I think it might be tactical instruction.
Yeah. Fairs. Aaron, I'm not sure if your mic is working at all. You might have to leave because StreamYard is just screwing you over. I mean, maybe another time try. I don't know if you have a laptop or PC or something available. Maybe try that in future. I don't know because this is weird. I don't know if StreamYard is just bugging around. But just lastly, I'm not sure if we can hear you properly. Jorginho, what rating would you give him, bro? Oh, he's gone again. So I take it that as no rating. Sorry, Aaron, if you're watching. Take care. I would have given Jorginho, given him like a 4.5, if I'm honest. I would have, considering even a 4, but I would say 4.5, but leaves us at a 5 from you guys. All right, then. Let's get to Denis Zakaria. As much as I was praising him last game, and as I thought, and as I said, like he wasn't amazing, but he was decent, and his physicality, his pace, defensive, just being was useful and helpful and helped to give us balance. And it just wasn't there at all. It just was not there at all. It was way too high constantly. Like, yeah, in the beginning of the game, they were somewhat involved in trying to attack. Not that we did anything useful with it. But I just thought it was no use today defensively. Like, absolutely no use, if I'm honest. Like, it was not getting on tackles. He was not getting physically in duels to really do anything. And what I find so weird, like his body movement, it reminds me of Zuma a little bit, where they're just so choppy. And Gallagher is the same. Like they touch the ball and it seems like their whole body needs to move to control a pass. Like these guys, I don't know why. And then they try to make a movement and like their whole body shifts. I'm like, you are easier to read than a bloody book. Do you know what I mean? Like for an opposition trying to defend what you're trying to do. Like I say, the same goes for Gallagher and, used to go with Zuma. It's a serious issue. Do I think it was worse than Jorginho? No, I would have given them, I don't know. You know what? I'm genuinely going to give Jorginho a 4 and it pushes it down to 4.5. I genuinely will. Because like I said, they're being too high and then therefore not helping defensively. That's an instruction issue. But everything he did around it, the fact that he's always the guy that dictates where everyone goes, like shout at everyone in the face until they start moving. Don't accept it until they do it. Like that's what I require. I know we had the captain on the pitch today, but Aspie's never going to do it. Thiago Silva might do it, but I'm not sure if everyone understands him. So it needs Jorginho to do those things. He needs it, and he weren't doing it. Do I think Zakaria was better than Jorginho? Honestly, no. I'll give him a 4 as well. Genuinely. Clutch, what about you?
I would tend to agree with that. I remember 2 plays from Zakaria, which is one where he had a really nice move to get around the guy and then screwed the final pass up. And then him getting into a fight with the other guy on the field. That's the only 2 times I remember Zakaria doing anything halfway useful. Everything else was getting bodied off the ball. And I think you could look at the touches to kind of see what the problem was today, because our midfield combined probably had less than 100 touches. Because I know Jorginho had 40, he had 30, Mount had like either 45 or 50, one of the 2. So, I mean, our midfield just got bossed today. And again, Zakaria is supposed to be the big physical presence, and he just wasn't there today. So I'd give him a 4 as well.
See, I actually changed my mind. I'm going to push mine down to a 3. I think it was actually even worse. Like, I know someone in the chat, who was it? Bazooka said Zakaria had physical presence, only positive, unlike Kovacic, Gallagher. Yeah, he had physical presence, but he had physical presence that he didn't use. Like, at least that's
kind of getting bodied everywhere.
I agree with that. He won a lot of fouls with his strength. He won loads of fouls.
Yeah, I know. Like,
he was only fouled once.
Chat as well. When I was watching, I was like, "Sorry, what did I just see?"
If he didn't win the fouls, like I remember him at least getting away from people who were using his strength. He was just bad on the ball, in my opinion.
But did that happen ever after the 25th minute? Because I agree that was the case at the beginning of the game, but did it happen after?
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know, like he got 1 foul. He won 0 out of 0 average duels. Why are you not in any average duels? I don't understand that. He won 2 out of 2 ground duels, fair play. Apparently, he didn't even attempt a tackle, which, how is that possible? How can you not attempt a tackle as a midfielder? Yeah. There's not really much in terms of stats here that I can go by. Maybe I'm being harsh and I should go 4. I don't know. Pice, what would you give him?
whatever I gave Jorginho. What did I give Jorginho?
I think you said 5.
5, yeah, 5 then, below average. Don't think he was great on the ball. Used his strength. Like, I noticed him more than Jorginho, which was, at least a bit of a positive. But, yeah, wasn't great. Didn't really do much, but it was nice in certain moments to have that physical presence in there. Thought he did use his body well, unlike you guys, though.
I just felt that we didn't have a midfield overall. Like, so maybe if on like, even though on occasions that did happen, I don't fully disagree with you on that. And actually, it's just the amount of times our midfield got passed by, and like, Mount not, Zakaria not, and Jorginho not. No one was even anywhere close to somehow stopping the ball going through our midfield and Forest attacking our defenders. Like, and I'm like, that's for Mount. Mount was his own problem in itself, but Mount's job, it's the least so. But Zakaria and Jorginho's job is literally to stop that, and neither of them did it. And that's why I don't understand. A lot of people in the chat seem very unhappy that we're even giving Zakaria even remotely close to the same rating as Jorginho, just because they thought Jorginho was so bad, or at least a couple of people in the chat did. But to me, it's like, if anything, they were as bad as each other at maybe slightly different things. But I don't know. I just think sometimes people are a bit blinded by, okay, someone's a bit taller and stronger, therefore doesn't lose a battle as easily. But at the end of the day, I still felt like he kept losing the ball. But hey, each their own. In the end, I pushed mine back up to a 4. I'm not really sure anymore what I want to give these players today. Fair enough. In the end, they both sit at a 4.5. We get to Mason Mount. I also thought he was poor. But now I really want to give Mount a really bad rating, actually, like 3 or something. But do I really think Mount was that much worse than Jorginho and Zakaria? No, I don't. So that's why it's difficult, because Mount had the most movement of all of them. Mount at least sometimes tried. It didn't work, but at least he tried to come back and, try and play it out when no one else was doing anything. But obviously in attacking phases, he was not even there. So it's a tough one. I mean, Pice, do you think Mount was much worse than Zakaria and Jorginho, I guess? Or do you think he was about similar levels? What do you make of it?
Well, I mean, the times I did notice him, he lost the ball. So he ghosted. He was. I can't even really make a judgment.
He ghosted, but he had 20 touches more than Zakaria did.
I didn't notice him, honestly.
Obviously, Zakaria came off a little bit.
Yeah, I honestly, I didn't notice him much. Had barely any impact on the game at all. I'll go for a 4, because I expect more than I do from him than Zakaria. It's not good enough.
Fair. Okay, that's fair. Clutch, what would you give Mount?
I'd probably agree with the 4, maybe 4.5 to be a little bit different. But like, I thought there were moments he had good things, and then there's overall, like, he had like 2 or 3 good moments, like the interchange with Pulisic, where Pulisic got out and we ended up getting a goal from that. He interchanged with him very well. He was the one trying to make those runs past the defenders. Like, he made like 6 or 7 of those runs. As much as I don't like it, that after the first time it worked, it didn't work the next 5 times, and he kept trying it. You're still kind of like, he needs to understand, like, once you're in that position, like, you can make that run once and it worked once. And if you try it again and it doesn't work, okay, well, let's stop that. You got to start coming back to the midfield, because we needed those options. Like, and it was just like, our midfield was what we were getting carved up in today. And like, he was part of it. So I'd give him a 4 as well.
Yeah, it's really difficult for me. Patrick in the chat was saying Aspie doesn't help us. Yeah, I appreciate that. I agree. I will get to a couple of the super chats, which we haven't touched on for the last few minutes in a minute. But I really don't know, man. Because I want to give Mount like a 3, but I don't believe that he was, if any, worse than Zakaria and Jorginho. I would almost want to give all of them a 3, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. So I guess if I want to give them all the same, then I have to give him roughly the same as well. I'll give him a 4 too then. But wow, okay, yeah, leave him a 4. Why not? But even then, I think it's too high. It's just I'm struggling here with these ones.
I'm ready to move them all down to 3.
Some days I'm really not getting a grip about these. Sorry, what were you saying?
I'm ready to move them all down to 3 because I feel like that's fair. I think our midfield was our biggest problem, not named Aspie today or Sterling.
Yeah, no, that's what I think. Like we throw Aspie and Koulibaly with these super dreadful ratings, but I'm like, that the fact that these 2 were so bad only happens because our midfield was even worse, in my opinion. Maybe not than Aspie, but
I'm ready to give them all 3. Just note that
not worse, maybe, but at least along the same lines. I mean, Pies, do you not see that at all? That the fact that our midfield could constantly be like, I mean, our defense had way too much to do today against a team like Forest that only counted. Like, and that only happens when the midfield has no grip on the game.
What was that?
I'm just saying the Forest had way too many like attacks straight at our defenders. And that only happens when your midfield has absolutely zero grip on the game. That's why I find it a bit harsh that we've given some of these defenders so much lower ratings than the midfielders.
They came down the sides a lot, didn't they? Though, like it was always counter.
Yeah, but they were playing a 4-3-3. That's the whole point. You have a wide 8 on both sides. That should help, man.
Well, they didn't, did they? As I said,
no, that's that exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm like, don't you think all of these midfielders should be a bit lower than they are?
Well, I'm happy to go zeros if you really want. I was just trying to be nice.
Yeah. Okay. You know, let's not be too extreme because we gave our ratings for a reason. Oh, well, at least you guys did. Let's push them all down by 0.5. Maybe that's a little bit more appropriate than if we don't go like, because if we just chuck it down by a full rating, what was the point you just talked for the last 20 minutes? But let's get some super chats up before we move on. First of all, Aaron, hey, appreciate it very much. And like I said, I'm not sure if you even had that. Maybe if you can try like a laptop or PC next time if the phone situation isn't really working. Not sure, maybe a different browser on your phone. Potentially, I'm not sure what phone you're using, but maybe we need to figure that out. But yeah, StreamYard, fix yourself, please. But what do we have here? James Doran, appreciate the donation, saying Forest have conceded most goals in the Premier League this season. We can only manage to achieve 2 shots on target, 1 from luck, and none second half. Enough said. Quite frankly, I could not agree more, and that was an embarrassment today. Now, it's not as simple as Forest are clearly not as bad in every game, right? Because, I mean, they were better the last few games. They beat Liverpool not long before the World Cup and stuff. Like, they're clearly not always awful. But our defense was most certainly awful. That's very true. Luis Garcia with another super chat from earlier saying, Potter's in real danger of losing the fan base. He's so uninspiring. When the top players come, his excuses will run out and Bowley will have to act. I mean,
the fan base
is
already
in danger
against
of losing the fan base. Some of the fan base, no matter who you are, you're going to lose. I mean, that's just our fan base. The uninspiring thing I agree with, especially on today, absolutely. Whether his excuses will run out when the top players come or whether the excuses will just not be necessary anymore, I guess that one we'll just have to wait and see. But I don't disagree. I mean, did either of you, want to react to that? Otherwise,
I mean,
another one actually. Go on.
You can look in the chat already. A lot of people already want him out. It is what it is. I mean,
but this is the chat, right? This is 400 people watching here, and what about 20 talking in the chat? So, like, I don't think that's necessarily a representation of the whole fan base. That's always a vocal minority. But yeah,
for me, I feel like there's a representation that happens, and there. Again, it's not everyone. It's that nuance thing, but it does seem like a lot of people are already over him, and I understand why. I get it. Like, again, today, like, it's just I don't understand the plan, but you still got to give him the end of the season because what else option do you have right now? I think a lot of people are just going way overboard because I think, and again, it's just when you talk about it, it's like, okay, yeah, maybe it's not going the way you want it right now, and that sucks. It does. Like, you can't get around that. But what's the other option? I seen Luis Enrique, which, again, we've talked about that on here. Guess what? Let's not do that because that would not turn out any better. So
Luis Enrique would literally be like today, like the first half, when we have 80% possession, 1 shot.
Yeah, exactly. So
it would literally not be any different.
So I think people just need to calm down, and I think a lot of people are like, "Let's go get Tuchel back." Yeah, Tuchel's never coming back as long as Bowley owns the club, and he legally is required to own this club until 2032. Tuchel will not be back. So
Tuchel will never be back. Like, fucking deal with it. The only one that's ever going to be back is Mourinho, and that's it. No one else will be back. Like, and what?
I don't really want
so much better losing 3-0 away to Leeds than drawing 1-1 away to Forest. Is that what you're craving for? Like, come on now. PA saying we're statistically significant, Laurenz. Sorry, bro. Jay says make a poll. No, Jay, I'm not gonna finance is the wrong word. Support and help this negative trend in the fan base. I'm absolutely not doing that. I'm not getting involved with that. Get Simeone. All right, flipping. Can't wait to park the bus for the next 10 years. Fucking amazing, that one. But the super chat by Miguel Rabinas, I'm going to pronounce it. Sorry for butchering it.
Rabinas.
He says we've had. Sorry,
I just said Rabinas. I don't know if that's it. I don't know.
I have no clue either. I'm not good in Spanish. We've had issues with player mentality since freaking Mourinho, and people insinuate that Potter is the reason why our mentality is weak. Thank you. I could not agree with this more. Like every single manager since Jose's second spell has had those issues. Every single one of them. Flipping, even you can go back before that. Villas-Boas had those flipping issues. Did Di Matteo have those issues? No, Di Matteo was just not a very good manager. And then bloody Benitez, I mean, he had player issues from day one because, well, John Terry and Benitez already didn't like each other before he even turned up. So basically since 2012, for 10 years, we've had player mentality issues under every manager, and people always blame each individual manager. Because I blame Tuchel for a lot of things, but I didn't blame him for that, and a lot of people did. And I'm like, it's not a Tuchel issue because this happens on every manager. And I will say the same now. The whole mentality thing, inconsistency thing. It's just a serious issue.
Someone test the pH levels in the water near Cobham. That's what we need to do.
Maybe we do, you know? Maybe we do. All right, then. Shall we get to the forwards? I want to do someone a little bit positive. I thought Pulisic was decent. Not that he was amazing, but he was decent. He looked like he was trying.
I think, just to say, I think Graham Potter's unhappy with certain players because he's just said, on the one hand, you've got some players asking for shirts after the game, and on the other hand, they are ready to run through a brick wall before the game to prove they can be good enough to beat or play for Chelsea. So don't know who he's referring to there.
I'm not sure if that was because the way you just read that out sounded weird. So I'm not sure if the quote was strange or what was weird about that. But
like, on the other hand, you've got players asking for shirts after the game, and on the other hand, they're ready to run through a brick wall before the game to prove they can be good enough or beat or play for Chelsea.
Yeah, but I don't know what he's trying to say. Like, is he complaining about that the players want to swap shirts with the opposition?
No, I think he's like, he doesn't like that I think he's insinuating that some players are just swapping shirts after a loss, and whereas others are ready to run through brick walls. That's what I think the reaction.
Well, where's the quote? I could get it up on screen.
CFC Daily posted it.
Right, I'll get it up in a second so we can get that one up. The Twitter search one. I'm not sure if it's in Elon turn up, but every time I look for, like, CFC Daily has 500,000 followers, and I put CFC in, and it's showing me 5 different search results first with like 10 followers. I'm like, why? Like, what is this? Anyway, I'll quickly get it up on screen so we can dissect it for a second before we get into the forwards. Ladies and gentlemen, by the way, we have over 300 people watching. I mean, we had over 400 earlier. But if you're new here, please be sure to subscribe. That'd be massively appreciated. And smash the like button. Here's the quote. On the one hand, you've got players asking for shirts. On the other, they're ready to run through a brick wall. I'm not sure if Adam Newson ruined it or CFC Daily ruined it, but something went wrong with this quote. Before the game to prove they can be good enough to beat or play for Chelsea. Yeah, I don't really know what he's talking about here, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. But hey, I don't mind the fact if Potter is having a little go at these players. I can't lie. Like, have a little go at them. Like, players say, a lot of people are going on about Potter hasn't got the mentality. Find that interesting. Sometimes I think Potter shows a lot more mentality than a lot of these players. Sometimes, at least Potter is, has a bit of a backbone and stands up for himself when he's not happy with something. But that's a different conversation. Let's get to Christian Pulisic. I'll give him a 6.5. I'll give him. I think he was just above average, and other than Thiago Silva, who I didn't even think was just above average, probably would have given him an average rating just because he's the playing out from the back. I'll give him a 6.5. Was he amazing? No, he really wasn't. But he seemed the most like trying. He seemed the most capable of anything. He obviously played the cross, which ended up in our goal, even if the cross wasn't amazing. But I think, like, a couple of people I've seen say 7. No one deserves a 7 he's an attacker, and we had 2 shots. He's not getting a 7. I'm sorry. But I think still slightly above average is still justified. Pice, would you agree with slightly above average for Pulisic, or would you not?
I thought he did well carrying the ball. I liked that he actually put a cross in as well. That's what I thought Ziyech did very well when he came on, because he was actually putting crosses in and just trying to make something happen, which he very nearly did. And the amount of fouls that Pulisic should have won today, that referee was a disgrace, honestly. I think Pulisic was one of our more positive players from today. So, I would give him a 6.5. Just a shame the other 2 were absolutely dog shit. But yeah.
Absolutely. Clutch, would you agree on a 6.5 as well? Would you go potentially even higher than that?
I probably agree that nobody gets higher than that. I mean, I do think he's the most positive attacker today. And he had a lot of space. I mean, Aurier is on the other side. He's not a good defender. Let him attack him. Like, I don't know why. And I don't know why the plan wasn't to push it out more left. Like, and especially
we conceded to Aurier. Fucking brilliant.
Yeah, and I'm just like, I don't understand why we didn't try to push the attack on him a lot more. I mean, Pulisic looked like he was ready to take on players. He looked positive. I mean, there's multiple times when he got the ball and he was just full sprinting past people again, trying to make something happen, and it didn't work. It didn't work because, again, we just had no influence anywhere else, and it just kind of sucked. But I'd give him a 6.5. I thought he was pretty decent today.
Fairs. You know what I would really love? If somehow YouTube would let me set a setting that I'm not allowing all caps messages in the chat, because the all caps really trigger me, people. Stop using all caps, man. I'm not going to even give your message any relevance if all you're doing all chat long is using all caps. Unless you're 12 years old, grow up. Do you know what I mean? But fair enough. Let's give him that 6.5. I think he warrants it. He did okay today. And he's one of the very few players that actually deserves to start again in the next game. But chances are he's probably the one that's not going to. But hey,
I don't know if you know your camera's not on.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that. Let's get to Raheem Sterling then.
Anybody else want to go first?
I'll go first. He gets 1 for the 1 goal he scored, because every single other thing he did today was as bad as, like, got so far, I put in a group chat, he's worse than Werner. You know how people, if any of you watching today, I've watched this channel for long enough, for me to say he's worse than Werner, you know how bad you have to be for me to say that? Like,
Werner actually might dribble better.
When he not in our own box, in our own half. Every time, we try to play it out, we're clearly under pressure, constantly. And he comes deep, number one, way too slow on every time. The Renan Lodi ran past him every single time and nicked the ball away. Sterling, you're supposed to be fast. Why are you not fucking bothered? Like, why are you not fucking bothered? And that goes for a lot of these players. But he came here to be the main man. He's not even bothered to be the fucking 10th man. He shouldn't be starting. Why is he starting? Go away, man. Stop playing. You know, someone in the Austrian Chelsea sports chat saying, oh, yeah, you know, they were talking about, like, maybe Pulisic will leave, blah, blah. I'm like, honestly, I'd rather get rid of Sterling straight away again before I sell Pulisic. He pisses me off so much. I know he got a decent goal, but no, it's not a decent goal. It's a lucky goal. But at least he didn't fall asleep when the ball, I was flying through the air, hit the bar. But it's just, my God, is he frustrating? Like, I don't understand, because he clearly has the ability in him. He's fast. He can somewhat dribble. He's not the worst finisher in the world. Otherwise, he wouldn't have scored as many goals as he did in his career. But why? Like, he just seems like the most typical City player I've ever seen. As soon as something doesn't quite go right, he just cannot be fucked whatsoever. Like, as soon as the game got rough, you might as well have just put a statue there instead of him, and he would have moved more. Like, it's so annoying. And I'm not sure, yes, maybe it's a bit of agenda. I don't know why I'm going in on him so much harder than the others now. But because he riles me up every time he plays. Some of the other players rile me up sometimes. Then they play well sometimes. Then they rile me up sometimes. When was the last time Sterling played well? He was okay against Bournemouth. No, he was good against Bournemouth. Okay. He was good against Bournemouth.
Before that one, when he's good.
Yeah. You know what? I'll change it. I'll give it a 2. But still, I'm annoyed, man. Like, well, how can you come back? Like, you're just somewhat strong, like lower center of gravity in that. You should be able to hold the ball up, man. Every time we played against him at City, he held the ball up against flipping Ivanovic, I remember still. How can you not hold it up against any Forest player? Like, it's just so poor. Like, the amount we improved once he was finally off for Ziyech was mind-boggling. And I still don't understand why Hutchinson isn't playing. Hutchinson in that friendly against Aston Villa played better than Sterling did in any game all year for us. Man, like, it pisses me off. Pisses me off. The guy, honestly, seriously, go back to City. Man, why? And this is my problem. You know how people always say, sign Premier League experienced players. But every time we do, they end up like this. Every time. Lukaku had Premier League experience. How did that go? Do you know what I mean? Fuck me, man. It pisses me off. Clutch, do you want to go next?
Yeah. I don't know much more to say. I mean, it's annoying because this guy the fact that I keep hearing in my head, he's like, yeah, I want to be here to be the guy. Like, okay, I can respect that. If you want to be the guy, you feel like you've been disrespected at City, okay, show me. Why do you deserve to be a guy? Because again, it's not an ability issue. It's a caring issue. It's clear as day now. It's caring. He doesn't care. And the one thing I want to highlight is they went on a counterattack. And Aspie was where Sterling is on the marker right now. Sterling was where Aspie was. And he didn't have any bother to even try to run. He let the guy just run past him. And then Koulibaly had to come out way past where Koulibaly ever wanted. And ended up getting a corner out of it. Like, what? What are we doing? Like, why are you not making the run back? I watched Pulisic run back. Why can't you be bothered to do it? Like, it's part of being a winger. I don't care what team you ever play for. You have to track back. And you were already back there. Like, it seems like it's not an ability issue with Sterling. It's a caring issue. And that pisses me off. The fact that he doesn't care. Maybe you want to play on the left. Fine, fair enough. I understand that. I want Pulisic to play on the left. And I understand when he doesn't get to play. I get it. But again, it's not like you don't have the ability to play on the right. Pep asked you to play on the right. And quite frankly, you got an assist from the right last time. You can be good off the right. I've seen you do it. So what's the problem? It's literally just
last game he actually played a good cross for once.
And it's like
cross a lot of good crosses.
And I think you said it best. It's one of those City player issues. Whenever something's not going right, he just stops caring. And again, Ziyech came on and we looked so much better because Ziyech looked like he cared. And that's Ziyech doing that. He wants to leave. Sterling doesn't. But yet he's caring more than Sterling is. I'm going to give him a 1. I think he deserves, he got the goal and you should credit him for getting the goal because, other players aren't in those positions to get those goals. So fair enough to him that he's there. But everything else was just terrible. Everything else. And it was pissing me off again. So I give him a 1.
Yeah, no, I agree. Pice, what about you? Do you think we're being too harsh on him?
No, I think he was shit, but pretty much the level of angle you have, Laurenz, with Sterling is like me with Havertz. Just complete opposite. Like, I'm honestly, fuck it out. He really pisses me off. Like, I even said against Bournemouth, I know we're not on him yet, but I even said against Bournemouth, I didn't think he played that well, but Sterling's just as bad. Sterling doesn't take anyone on. He just keeps passing back. But there's no chemistry there either. There's real no chemistry there. I thought we might be building something after the last game. Couple of instances where, we played quite well down the right. Then Reece got injured and it just, Aspie's just, if he goes up, he has to get back and then we get countered and it's just a complete fucking mess. So, yeah, no, scored a goal, but I give him a 1. He was terrible otherwise. But Havertz was miles worse for me.
Miles worse and you're giving him a 1?
Yeah.
Okay. How many miles is that going to be? All right, let's get to Kai Havertz then. Now, the weirdest thing about Havertz before
minuses by far, shit player,
is the fact that he stayed on the pitch. That was the thing I found the most weird. And then by the end, he played as kind of a 10 or 8. I'm like, now, Mount was also bad, but was Mount worse than Havertz? Don't know. Don't know about that one. Do you know what I mean? I think Havertz was better than Sterling, but I still think he was awful. Do you know what I mean? I just don't understand why he stayed on. There was movement at first. I was like, okay, you're doing useful things, but the longer it went on, the worse it got. And I think the most important thing you just mentioned there, Pies, the chemistry. It just doesn't work. You know how Forest, they played the ball through our midfield, and then their forwards got it, and they kept it. We didn't try a lot of line-breaking passes, but whenever we did, whether it was to Havertz, whether it was to Sterling, whether it was to Pulisic, whether it was to Mount, no matter who it was, even Zakaria when he was pushed high up, they usually tried to either control it and then pass straight away or pass it later off first touch. And I swear on every single occasion, we lost the ball. I'm like, why? How does this, of course, Forest were clearly on it and were clearly quick on every loose ball. Good. Fair enough. But why can't we? Why was our effort there? And the only way we kept the ball when we fed it to the forwards is if they passed it all the way back. As soon as we tried to keep it in the forward areas, we lost the ball every time. And that is an issue that goes for all of them, basically, bar Pulisic. He was the only one that kept the ball without constantly passing it back. Everybody else, Sterling, Havertz, Mount, Zakaria, even bloody Jorginho, lost the ball every time they didn't pass back. And it's so infuriating. I'll give Kaya... All right, let me just look at the other ends here. Okay, so I guess we gave Sterling a 1 in the end. Yeah, give Havertz a 2. Give him a 2. I'll let Pies keep his run for the end, so we can finish it off on that before we do the subs. Clutch before. Do you think he was as bad as Sterling? Do you think he was worse than Sterling? Better? I assume not after what you've said earlier, but how much better, if so, do you think he was?
Not much. I mean, I do remember a couple things from him. I will give him the respect of at least at one point when Cucurella got caught too high up, he actually made a full sprint to come back and help.
Yeah, and he was
And
involved.
that was decent. That was a decent moment. I will give you that. But then he had
He
an
was
over
in
the
box
top
defending.
Yeah, and then I think he had an over the top ball that kind of looked like that Newcastle ball. He just miscontrolled it. I'm just like, okay.
He had the chest touch as well. If the control is better, he can shoot.
Yeah, I think there's a couple decent moments from Kai Havertz, which, bar the goal from Sterling, he didn't have. He didn't have decent moments, and that's what upsets me again. Like, again, I'd probably give Kai Havertz a 2. Not much better. It's just decent pressing, and then he had that one time, and that's it. Other than that, it was all just not good.
Okay. And Pice, I mean, you're gonna say minus whatever, but basically 0. Is that what I'm taking? But what is your frustration? Like, just run, mate. Maybe it helps.
He is more sluggish than Lukaku. I've never seen such a sluggish player in my life.
And now you're going over the top, mate. No,
absolutely not. He is the most sluggish player I have ever seen. Where's that guy gone that pressed like an absolute madman from the front? I don't understand. It's the effort. It's the lack of care for me. He also had 0 shots, 0 dribbles, 0 key passes, 0 crosses. What the fuck does he do? He is so inconsistent. I've said this yesterday in the preview stream, I think, or whenever we last talked about him, I said I can't get fooled by this again. I can't do it with him anymore. I'm so far done. When he plays bad, it is so bad. Like, players can play bad, but you know it's bad. But with him, it's just I don't know.
He had 1 shot apparently.
He had 0 shots according to my stats. He honestly he
says 1 shot.
He just infuriates me. I don't know what it is about him. He just people can call it agenda, whatever you want. I may have an agenda. I don't give a fuck. He's shit. I don't rate him. Get over it. Like I can't stand him, bro. Like, he doesn't do anything on the pitch. He's just useless. He doesn't link up play. He can't dribble. Like, what does he do? Like, I just don't get it. Please tell me, like, if you saw anything, because I didn't. I think he's shit.
Chelsea fans looking at who to start next game, Aubameyang or Havertz, and we're all freaking out.
They're as shit as each other.
I know.
They're shit as each other. Like, I don't understand this.
I know.
It's just because he's young and he came for a big prize, but it's just I can't do it anymore, man. Like, I can't be reeled in and then just, you know, a game later or the game after, he just produces like he's like a £1 million player. I just don't understand how you can be so bad. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. I can't. I think Lewis has the same view as me on him. I don't know. People differ, but I can't. I don't know.
Yeah, I understand your frustration. It's not like I don't understand it. It's not like I don't understand it.
I'm just so worn out with watching him. Like, one game he can produce, you know, like he can produce like moments where he can do a nice flick. He can have an intelligent pass. He might score a goal. He might score a header. He might make a good movement in the box. But then, like, a game later or the very next game, 99% of the time, he will literally do nothing in 90 minutes. I literally mean nothing. Nothing. Zero. Like, nothing. How is that physically possible when you're leading the line for Chelsea? I get we don't create chances, but drop deep, do something, get on the ball, make a run in behind, do something.
To be fair, he did drop deep to receive the ball. He did do that.
Aubameyang did it more than him when he came on. The first thing he did was drop deep and got the ball. I honestly, look, fair enough.
But then you seriously do have an agenda. If you didn't see Havertz drop deep today, then
maybe I do.
He did do that. I'm not arguing anything else you're saying, but he did drop deep.
If I have an agenda on Havertz, so be it, because I think he's crap. You know, do something about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hope he does something about it, man. I'm sure even you hope that. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, it's an issue. I don't even know what at the end, like, where was Chukwuemeka supposed to be playing? But yeah, these are the subs. I'm not sure how I wanna
how he plays today. If I was on that bench, it's like, just to give you a hypothetical, like, I wanted to run on that pitch.
4-4-2.
I wanted to run on that
Who was
pitch,
on the right?
push him over, and wake him up. That's how it made me feel today.
Ziyech.
Yeah, on this side. But who was on the left after Pulisic came?
Chukwuemeka. He played more so on the left.
Did he? To be honest, I only saw him once, and I was in the middle of midfield. So I put it still up as a 4-3-3. I don't know where Kai was. Was he a 10? Was he a left? Don't know. It doesn't
He wasn't
matter.
anyway. He was ghosting. He was walking.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. Let's do the subs quickly. I think a lot of these actually can get a rating, but yeah, Kovacic was dreadful, man. When I saw Zakaria, I was like, oh, shame Kovacic wasn't ready to start. I'm like, okay, so this is why he didn't start. When he played that pass to Koulibaly, when Koulibaly just about managed to get it clear because the pass was so bad. Hey, Kova, come on now. What is that? You got to be better than that.
He had the 2 blocked passes that could have gone out to the left. That could have started an attack. I think that was just unfortunate for him, though.
Yeah. I mean, he had a couple of good dribbles, but then, as unfortunately the stigma goes for Kovacic, he dribbles and then passes a 2-yard sideways pass, making the whole dribble kind of pointless, which is obviously a bit unfortunate for him. I'm not necessarily saying this is the lineup we had. It was kind of, maybe it was a 4-2-3-1 by the end. Fuck knows what it was. I am not sure. But I mean, Pice, what would you give Kovacic a rate? Did you also think he was poor when he came on, or did you disagree with that?
I thought he showed a lot of urgency. I thought he drove through midfield a few times. He was better than any of the other midfielders, but he still wasn't great. He gave the ball away too much. I think he should have had a foul on the edge of the box, but that's difference of opinion when he went on one of his driving runs. But yeah, like 5 for me. 5.5, I'd say, just a little bit below average. He definitely showed more intensity than any of our other midfielders today, and he looked like he wanted to actually get something and win the game, unlike the others, which is not surprising because obviously, mentality, but whatever.
Very true. Clutch, what would you give him?
Probably a 5. I mean, again, I think he had some positive things, but also some negative things. And you know what? I guess I can see where Pius is coming from. He did have a more intention than a lot of the players that actually were out there. So I'd probably give a 5.
Okay. Fred. Gallagher. My God.
0.
Wow, he was poor, man, wasn't he? He was really poor.
He's lucky he's a sub, or else he'd be a 0, to be honest. He should be really lucky.
I mean, hey, if you want to give him a sub-0, not what I meant, but a 0 as
That's
a
funny.
sub, you can. Do you want to?
Yeah, I'm going to give him a 0. That was pathetic. I mean, I can't tell you a positive thing he did. All I ever watched was him just lose the ball. And I don't even know how the band's socks were ripped at the end. Like, how do your socks get ripped like that, dude? Like, I watched other people get absolutely annihilated and their socks don't have anything. And also, Jem said Pulisic was a 3. That's funny. But
I'm pretty sure Gallagher cut his socks before for his calves. Pretty sure they don't rip while playing.
That's weird. Is that a thing? Do we do that?
Some people do that, yeah, but I'm not sure
That's
if it's
all
a
I got.
useful thing.
Gallagher was actually just like so bad. Like
Maybe that's how they tried to look like. Hazard sometimes had cut open socks because he just got tackled constantly. Maybe
That's
they
what I'm
feel
saying.
like Hazard then if they do that. I don't know.
You have a million years before you reach the level of Eden Hazard Gallagher after that one. A million at least.
Yeah. Maroon, sorry. In the chat, that Gallagher needs an oil hip change. That's funny. No, Jem, he definitely didn't have a great game. When they have a great game, they get like 8s and upwards. That's why he got 6.5. Pice, do you agree with the 0 for Gallagher? Do you think maybe that's a slight bit too much? Or what do you make of his performance?
He was shocking. Yeah, I mean that one where he lost the ball and then fouled that guy with a slide tackle. Honestly, like, what more? I'm sorry.
The slide tackle you have to make, obviously, because otherwise you get counted. But
he lost the ball. It's just so painful. I just want to cry, man. Honestly, some of these players are just like I've just lost all hope in them. Like I genuinely am. Like it's just I don't know what to say. 1, 0, 2. I don't really care. He was crap. It's just
The only reason why I don't want to give him a 2 is because do I really think he was worse than the others? Not really, if I'm being honest. So I'll say 1. And if you're not decisive, let's just give him that 1, I suppose. But yeah, I mean, as I highlight on screen, Jester says the socks are very restrictive. Cutting them helps blood flow, which is true. or which is at least what I heard before, assumed that they do it for, but you don't see everyone doing it. So the blood flow problem can't be that bad. And Gallagher isn't exactly Shaqiri, who has like the biggest calves in history. Like if Shaqiri does that, I can understand. You know, Gallagher, your calves aren't even that big. Do you know what I mean? But fair enough.
Just seems like a waste of socks.
It is a genuine waste of socks. Hakim Ziyech. Well, he should have played the game-winning assist. But instead, Aubameyang doesn't know how to head the ball. What I've been complaining about since September, because I've never seen the guy play a useful header since signing for Chelsea. I don't know how he can possibly not get the header. I do not understand how that is humanly possible. But I want to give Ziyech a 6. No, 6.5. I'm going to give it. Price, what would you give Ziyech? Would you even go higher? But it was essentially just one cross, really.
Yeah.
But I guess he was a sub, so maybe a 7 would be okay as well, because he did more in that 1 minute than really everybody else did in those few minutes than everybody else in the whole game.
Yeah, he did. Still would have liked to see Hutchinson come on, to be honest, at least for someone, even if it was on the left-hand side. I mean, you bring in Chukwuemeka on, for me, playing him out wide.
Aubameyang on for Mount. Just bring on Hutchinson there, right?
Yeah.
And Aubameyang for Havertz if you want to, but if you're not going to take Havertz,
that's the thing as well, isn't it? Like, that's the thing as well. Very unlikely to get top 4. So, you know, if this is a process, play some players that are actually going to be a part of the fucking so-called process. That's my point of view on it. Like, it's just,
we have no idea who's going to be a part of that process, so that's the question mark.
Well, you don't bring Aubameyang on over Hutchinson. You don't. I mean, fair enough, he brought Chukwuemeka on, but you know what's the Lewis?
You don't buy Aubameyang in the first place, is my opinion.
Yeah,
but we did. So
yeah, for a manager, then they sacked. What's Lewis Hall done wrong? You know what I mean? Why is he not coming on anymore? He was looking like our most fucking outlet and goal threat the other week. It's ridiculous. Like,
I would have brought.
But who would you have brought him on for today? Is the problem, because if you started Zakaria, you had 2 options: you replace him with Kovacic or you replace him with Paul, and you're always going to pick Kovacic up in that situation.
I mean, he chucked Chukwuemeka and Gallagher. I would have brought him on for Gallagher for sure.
Oh, that's true, actually. Yeah, no, I agree. True. Yeah, I agree.
You know, like just.
I guess Gallagher's a bit more attacking in theory, but he played him as essentially a 6, so you might as well have put on a Hole. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Gallagher wasn't really attacking, was he? He was. I don't know. Stupid.
Did you say a 7 for Ziyech or 6.5? What did you want to give him? I raised mine to 7.
I'll go 6.5 just because of that cross. He beat a couple of players, so yeah. Still don't know really where I stand with him long term. I think he still needs to go, but nice to see him back and looked like he had more confidence at least. You know, sometimes he's been brought on, he just doesn't really care, but it looked like he wanted to do something today, so I appreciate that.
He tried a whole Morocco move when he tried to do the quick 1-2s with Gallagher and Aspie on the sidelines. And then both Gallagher and Aspie were so confused by what's happening that he immediately lost the ball, of course. Clutch, I said 7, Pi said 6.5. What will you give Ziyech?
Let's give him the 7. I thought he beat a couple players. Again, it's that caring factor. Ziyech wants to leave, and yet he tried harder than Sterling did. So let's give him a little bit higher, because I can't be bothered with Sterling if he doesn't care, and I'd like to give Ziyech at least needs that opportunity, because if Sterling isn't going to care, Sterling will play. Don't get it twisted. He will start against City.
And against City, I can even see the logic more, because at least Sterling's got pace. But then again, who's going to play the ball to the players with pace when you don't have Ziyech on the pitch? So that's why I want Enzo, because he can play those passes to the players with pace. But hey, do we give Aubameyang? I guess he came on at the same time as as Gallagher and Ziyech, so he has to get a rating. Well, I wanted to save him, but now can't save him. So I mean, he did, like Pi said, he did drop deep and try to get involved in a link up.
It was still terrible.
Yeah, he missed the biggest chance we had all game outside of Sterling's chance. And he had a chance where, in my opinion, he could have easily, and he was on his strong foot already, tried to shoot. Instead, he played an awful layoff pass to Havertz. So you had 2 moments, screwed both of them up, which meant we didn't win. So you're going to 2. Touch?
Can't say much more than that. I mean, you're a striker. You're the striker. You came here to score goals. and you do a layoff pass to Havertz, who one isn't ready for it, two is a lefty, not a righty like you are, you could just turn and shoot. Havertz has to do something else or shoot with his weak foot, which Havertz doesn't have a weak foot, so why are we going to try that? So, again, yeah, and I don't know how you. Again, there's so much wrong with Aubameyang, and it's like, why did we buy him for Tuchel, bro? Like, why? That should have been the first red flag. That should have been honestly a red flag.
And I will never understand. Like, I'm not as critical of Bowley as some others, and I'm like, okay, give him a chance, see how it all goes. But I will never unless we somehow miraculously win the Champions League this, which we obviously won't. The fact that he bought Aubameyang, only just sacked Tuchel 2 days later, it must be one of the stupidest decisions any football club owner has ever made. Like, that is...
I better see Fofana on the bench rather than Aubameyang from here on out. I better. I
Not,
better.
not,
I'm not going to, but I bet. I can't do Aubameyang anymore. I can't. I can't.
Yeah, I just can't hack it. Are we too harsh, Pice? Would you give him higher than the 2? Do you think it was as bad? Maybe it's a bit harsh because, I mean, he had 2 moments, but, you know.
Not really that harsh, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, I think he could have scored that from that cross.
And if he doesn't score it, at least don't try to go for it, because then Pulisic puts it home.
Yeah, I mean, just striker's instinct, didn't it? He went for it, but
yeah,
it wasn't to be our day, and we didn't deserve to win anyway. We were shit. So
put Sterling on the left and Ziyech on the right.
Whatever.
Oh my god, imagine.
Sterling doesn't deserve to play for Pulisic right now, Samuel. I'm sorry to tell you that, bud.
Yeah, that is very, very true. But we'll get to that super chat in a second. And Chukwuemeka gets an A, but I will say just the one touch he had and then the 5-yard, 10-yard run before he passed it off again. Just in that instance, you could see that if it's ever a decision between him and Gallagher, it should always be him. Because Gallagher, like I touched on earlier, Gallagher, like Zakaria, like Zuma, they're so choppy. Like they cannot control their body smooth enough to play. They cannot. They just cannot. And when you have enough space, that doesn't matter, and that's fine. And that still doesn't mean that Gallagher can't do things well. Like that winner he scored for us against Palace was a wonderful goal, and a goal that very few players in our team are capable of scoring. But the way it's like, especially in the centre of midfield, if you're so choppy in your movement, it's just risky. And Chukwuemeka, look at that, especially that kind of thing. It reminds me very much of Ruben, like the way he has this that tall, not quite as wide and big in that sense like Ruben, but the way he's tall and technical and can run, and maybe
he's
even better,
really fast
than Ruben in that kind of thing. Yeah, no, exactly. But now we have some more super chats to go through. Let me start at the last one that we haven't discussed yet. By Wing, appreciate the donation, saying not complicated, attack through the better players. And then he follows that up with basically an explanation saying, why spam the right side when the best attacker is on the left? And I mean, Clutch touched on it earlier, and I completely agree. Unfortunately, a simple explanation. It's just for how we attack. We attack more on the right than we attack on the left, and Potter clearly decided to stick with that, even when it wasn't Reece James on the pitch, but Aspie, which is a tactical error by Graham Potter. But yeah, I appreciate the donation, Swing. Appreciate it a lot. And then we have Samuel. I'm just going to call you Samuel rather than butchering your surname, saying, thank God Vivell was at the game now. He can see what we need in January and the summer. Put Sterling on the left, Ziyech on the right for City, please. Yeah, I just wouldn't play Sterling, personally. Like, if I have to pick, I'm not sure yet. I'll have to think about that one, what I want to do. But I don't think it would be fair whatsoever to now drop Pulisic, personally. If anything, we should focus more on how to get Pulisic more involved in the final output of attack rather than not playing him. That's my opinion. But Samuel also followed that one up saying, I swear I play Chalobah right back at this point. I actually agree with that. But the problem is, what Pai said earlier, he wants to play Chalobah instead of Koulibaly. So then if you play Chalobah instead of Koulibaly, you can't play Chalobah instead of Aspie anymore. So now what do you do? Mr. Vivell, Mr. Bowley, please sign a right back. Like, I am a fan of Enzo Fernandez. I want us to sign Enzo Fernandez if we can. But for the love of all that's mighty, man, we need a right back. Like, is Juranovic from Celtic the guy? He's 27 and he still plays for Celtic? If you're 27 and still play for Celtic, are you the guy? I don't know. But can he be worse than Aspie? Definitely not. But figure something out. I was still, all summer long, I was saying, sign Klaus. In the end, we let him go to Marseille, where he plays left back now, which we none of us, I swear, even knew that he can play both sides. So he would have even fixed more issues than that. We should have signed Klaus, but we didn't sign Klaus. And now we still have no fucking right back. But But hey, boys, we need to finish it off with one last one. And I feel like today it seems justified to put Potter underneath Kai Havertz because Potter refused to take Havertz off, even though he was pretty damn poor. Potter. Now, the lineup, I in a sense agreed with because I'm like, okay, don't change too much. In the end, I don't think Kovacic was so good that it would. I was like, okay, if Kovacic would have started instead of Zakaria, that would have changed the whole problem. I don't think it would have. But I was just disappointed by the lack of in-game changes. I understand that managers that want to stick to their philosophies, like Sarri did, they stick to their philosophies even when it's not working to make sure that the philosophy improves. But we're in a position where, man, we're 8th. I'm not even sure if we're 8th now that we drew, but we're 8th before the match day. But hey, we gained a point on Spurs. So, still better than these lot. But the lack of just I just don't understand why in the second half we didn't try. Like, we changed players, but we kept doing the same thing just with different players. Yes, slightly more offensive players, but I really didn't see a game plan. Like, again, I touched on it at the very beginning. We had barely an attack in the first half, which led to a lucky goal. And then we come out of half-time, not making a sub. I'm like, okay, you try first to talk to them and make the players that are on the pitch already play better. Okay. But we play worse. We come under the cosh from Forest, and it gets worse and worse and worse. And then we are under the cosh, and his first move is to bring Kovacic on for Zakaria, which I'm like, okay, makes sense. I understand. We try to bring a better ball player on the pitch, try to get more control over the game. But it really, really didn't work. And then the next thing he does is take Mount off and put Havertz in midfield. I'm like, well, in general, I'm like, okay, you try to go for the goal. But when you have zero control over the game, are you going to put a guy that hasn't played midfield in 2 years into midfield for Mount? Just bring on Chukwuemeka straight away then. And you bring on Gallagher and kind of make him play double pivot. What? I'm so confused. Potter gets a 3 from me. And that's arguably really nice. Most of that 3 is because I understood the lineup, and I think a lot of the blame needs to go into players' inconsistencies. I mean, I think Potter is actually spot on. I know, like, people said, oh, what is this mentality? We didn't deserve to win. Well, we didn't deserve to win. I don't know what you're saying about mentality. It would have been unfair if we won on the basis of the game. I don't understand how a manager finally being honest in an interview is now bad mentality. Bro, I hate it when managers say, oh, we could have won. Well, yeah, we could have done. But the question was, did we deserve to? That's the question by the interview, all right? So, yeah, I'm going to give him a 3. Pice, what are you going to give Potter, mate?
Probably, I mean, you get 1 rating for the lineup because no one had any complaints about that. I think it was good that he didn't chop and change, try and build some consistency. But I mean, I'd love to be in that dressing room. I really would, because I mean, unlike you guys, I thought the first half was just as bad as the second half, personally. And I would have, I just don't understand how. I mean, arguably we even got worse. So, I'd love to be in there, because if he is shouting at them and saying this isn't good enough, we need to play better, do this, do that, actually, talking tactics, obviously, then fair enough. But off the basis of how we're playing, I can't imagine he is. It just seems all too soft, all too laboured. It's just.
But didn't you know, like the quote we read earlier seemed like he was having a right go at the players?
Yeah, it did. No, I do see that, and that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying I'd love to be in the dressing room, because I just from what I'm seeing, I can't physically think that. You know what I mean? Like, the second half was arguably worse. I can't physically think that he had a go at them at half time. Like, he
No, I agree with that, actually. I think at half time. But then again, I'm not a manager. Do you know what I mean? Like, even Jose didn't shout at the players every time they played badly. Do you know? Like, I don't know. I mean, arguably, how Jose isn't as good a manager anymore. People often say it's because he can't handle the new generation of players. Maybe these lot you can't shout. I don't know, man. I don't know, but I felt like Tuchel shouted at them at every halftime, and that didn't make it better either often. Do you know what I mean? So, like, what is the fix?
Like, yeah, and I just think I've lost track of what I was going to say now. my mind's boggled, honestly. My mind's boggled. I don't know what to think, because Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm just lost. I just don't understand how we could physically play this bad. And what I was gonna say was like very early on. I think it was like the first couple of games under Potter. Didn't he make like there was a game where he made like 2 or 3 changes at half time, and like he doesn't do that anymore, especially in a game like this. I think make a change
because
at
I guess
half
we were
time. Like,
1-0 up, right? So are you
but it's
really
not
going
good
to make
enough.
a half-time sub?
It's not good enough, though.
Realistically,
Not good enough though. There was no like he can't have told them, go and go and kill the game off, show like go and finish them type of thing, because that mentality is not translating to the players if he is actually saying that, which is a massive problem. Like if he actually is doing the things that I want him to do, which I don't know because I'm not in the dressing room, then and the players aren't responding to it, then that's a huge issue in itself, because that means they're not buying into what he's saying, and we're only 15, 20 games in. So, like I can only go off what I'm seeing on the pitch, and I think his easy go, soft, just softness is how the team's performing. Like I don't see a reflection on a manager that would be angry and that is demanding certain things. How could you watching this game?
but didn't you feel Tuchel was like that? And didn't you see the same inconsistencies that we saw
because
now under Tuchel?
I mean, at least with Tuchel, I knew he was having a go at them. Let's not forget that these players are also massive, pussies. Essentially, they are. A lot of them are massive pussies. That article came out when Potter was, appointed, saying, "Oh, some of the players are happy they won't get shouted at on the sideline." Like, it's just, honestly, it's just so funny to me.
But I also will counter with, you can't, like, if you think players are going to play for you, if you just constantly shit on them, like you're never going to get a player that does that. It's just not the mentality anymore. It's why Jose is having such trouble being at the top, is because he is that kind of guy. Like behind the scenes, he's an asshole, but players are going to play for an asshole. I'm sorry.
I don't think also Jose is always an asshole. Like, I don't think any of them are.
I think when it starts going wrong, of course. I think when it starts going wrong, and then you get to these points where and it will always get to that point where things go wrong. And it's when that happens, what do these managers do? Jose starts throwing players under the bus. He starts name calling. I mean, look, they already had the guy at Roma he already said is never going to play another game for him. And it hasn't really been that well since he's done that. Like it's hard to do that. And again, I don't disagree. You do need to have some sort of like firmness. You need to be firm, but you don't need to be an asshole. And I think like his comments afterwards where he's like, there are some players who want to run through a brick wall. I think that's fine. I mean, that is as best as you can put it, as like, okay, some of these guys are not showing the mentality that we need to have. And that's fine. That's okay. My problem with Graham Potter right now is, what is the plan? Because my plan I've seen is he saw, hey, everything worked on the right-hand side last time. We're just going to keep that up. The problem is you don't have the reason why it worked on the right-hand side, which is Reece James. So when you see that, and maybe people think like Aspie's a lot better. Maybe Graham Potter's like, Aspie's a really good player. He's just not anymore. And that's a problem within itself if he thinks that. But again, Aspie is a guy who shouldn't be playing for us anymore. Still does. Still the captain, and is not very in that. The funny thing is, I used to laugh when Jester said this, that Aspie wasn't a good captain anymore. I'm starting to kind of agree with it. It's getting scary. And again, it all comes down to Potter once again, but it also comes down to, why did we give Aspie that contract last summer? And again,
well, that was in the end, like we all thought it was Thomas Tuchel. Now, obviously, maybe it's still Tuchel had something to do with it. Absolutely, maybe it was Tuchel that told Bowley, "I want him to stay." But the way Aspie talked about it is that Bowley convinced him to stay. So not a smart move. Not a smart summer because I mean, Sterling hasn't been good. Koulibaly hasn't been good. Cucurella hasn't exactly been great. The Aspie new contract extension didn't exactly work out. Aubameyang's signing didn't exactly work. Hopefully, this January certainly goes better than the summer did. Flip sake. By the way, shout out to Charlie. We put it in the chat. You guys can see it, but it's not letting me highlight it on StreamYard. But he says, "Big up, lads, on the coach home. That was a fucking joke today. Everyone other than Silva and Kepa. And Cucurella was a disgrace." Oh, I thought initially you were saying Cucurella was a disgrace, but you're saying apart from Silva, Kepa, and Cucurella, everyone else was a disgrace. Hey, I would include Pulisic in that exception, but otherwise I agree with you, mate. Absolutely. It's just poor. I don't think Now I understand a lot of the things that Pies is saying, and I'm also critical of Potter for things. I don't like when we just flip flop and then we have a good game and we're like, oh yeah, we praise him, and then we have a bad game and now everything he does is all of a sudden bad again. Like Arsenal have not won the league yet, but it's 7 points clear. Now there's no guarantee that Potter can do the things that Arteta did, and there's no guarantee that we're going to sign the smart signings that Arsenal have. Because we already made the mistake once. We signed Sterling when we could have signed Gabriel Jesus. I said it at the time. If we had to pick one, I would pick Gabriel Jesus. I stand by it, and I will stand by it until Sterling proves me wrong. And so far, he isn't. But they're even doing their thing without Gabriel Jesus because he's injured, and they're still doing their thing. But it shows that giving a process time can work. Doesn't mean it will work, but it can work.
Last year, this time, Arteta was going to get fired, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, they finished 8th back-to-back. Do you know what I mean? Like, in 2-4, like, first, a lot of a season he had, and then a full season, they still finished 8th. And let's also not lie to ourselves, same as with Conte for us, the reason why they're winning the league, or in the top of the leagues right now, shall we say, is because they're not in Europe. And it's the same reason for us. Like, for us in 2016-17, that's why we won the league, not because we're the best team, but because we were in Europe. We're not in Europe. And that's the same for them now. But what do you mean we couldn't sign Jesus? Of course we could have done. What do you mean we couldn't? Yes, we could. But, hey.
Didn't they sign Jesus for less money than we signed Sterling for?
No, I think more, actually. We paid 47 and they paid 50, I thought. But around the same. But I could be wrong. Luis Garcia says Arteta didn't get the backing as big or quick as Potter is currently getting. It's not a comparison. We need to stop that. It's a delusion. I mean, Potter hasn't actually received anyone yet. I mean, we should probably mention Badiashile has basically officially signed for Chelsea, not made official by Chelsea yet, but David Ornstein and Fabrizio Romano gave their here we goes. It's happening. You know, probably not going to be involved for City. Maybe for the second of the cup game against City. Maybe. Could be. But, I mean, no, Luis Garcia, Potter hasn't received any backing yet because he wasn't here in the last transfer window. The backing he got was 2 shit players given to him from Thomas Tuchel. Okay, I shouldn't do that for Zakaria just because it's poor today. 1 chip player and Zakaria. I don't know what backing you're talking about. The backing is coming now, but we don't know yet how that's going to go. But yeah, I mean, quickly, is it a positive note for you that at least we're getting Badiashile place? When I saw today, he's supposed to be quick. At least your expert told me he's quick. When I see the way we defended certain things today, I'm like, okay, yeah, a quick defender is what we could do with.
Well, I don't know exactly how quick he is, but you know he's 6'4", so I can't imagine he's going to be the most agile of players.
No.
So I mean, we'll have to see how it goes. I think CFC
Maybe
Central.
he can win some headers. That'd be useful.
Yeah, CFC Central.
Koulibaly was winning no headers today.
CFC Central made me a little bit worried earlier with what he said. If anyone doesn't know what it is, he's very, very good sort of tactical account. He said that the issue that Koulibaly's having in terms of like stepping out and like being too rash and aggressive and, you know, like getting beat. He said that Badiashile has the same kind of problem. So, I mean, we'll have to see. Look, we can only judge players when they get here, but it's not filling me with excitement, to be honest with you. Unlike an Enzo Fernandez would. But, you know, if I'm Enzo Fernandez, I don't really want to come and play here right now. I'd be, you know, happy if he did join, but.
Hey, to be fair, he's playing at Benfica and just lost 3-0, so it's not like where he's at right now. So, you know, we didn't lose 3-0, but you know, hey, Clutch, anything you want to add? Badiashile is coming. I guess a positive.
I mean, it is a positive, and I think the one reason why it is positive, I'm not afraid to play Chalobah right back if I have to now because I at least have Badiashile on the bench and not have to worry about having to bring in Bashir Humphreys. I have that opportunity, or I can play Badiashile over Koulibaly. So I don't really have to worry about, you know, Trev needing to be that guy in case somebody else gets hurt. He can go and play right back now, and we can say, bye-bye, Aspie. Have a good day. I don't really want Trev to be a right back, but over Aspie, yeah, I do want him to be a right back.
Yeah. And I also... I'm just saying they lost 3-0 to Braga yesterday. Shut up, man. We should go for Mitrovic, to be honest. Well, I just don't know what Fulham will ask. They'll probably ask crazy money. But, you know...
He missed a penalty the other day, didn't he?
He still scored 2, didn't he?
No, I don't think so. I think he missed the penalty yesterday at the end.
No, he did, but he still scored, didn't he?
No, I don't think so.
Did he not?
No.
They won anyways. I know that.
They won. Didn't really matter that he missed the penalty. I was asking.
No, he actually didn't. One was an own goal and the other one was Polina. Fair enough. Well, missed a penalty, but we don't need him to take penalties anyway. That's still Jorginho's job. So I don't know if Mitrovic is the option. The same is for Vlahovic. None of these guys are the option. Or the solution. Like they're gonna help us in certain situations, but then in other situations we would be like, now we have this immobile striker up front who's not that fast, and now we're annoyed again. We're gonna have issues all over the shop until we get a structure of game plan consistently going and get it right. We're gonna be screwed anyway. Like no matter what, we can either change it every game and then it's gonna just take even longer until we finally get good, or we try to stick to the same thing and we're gonna have to ride out certain pains. It's difficult. It's absolutely difficult, especially if we keep having our best player out injured. That's not exactly going to make it any easier. But hey, I mean, we've been going for nearly 2 hours. I think it's about time we wrap this one up. But ladies and gentlemen, we still have 250 people watching, which I massively appreciate. If you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe. That'd be wonderful if you could. We are on the road to 20,000 subscribers. And every new subscriber counts. We're getting ever closer to 16 at the moment. So let's get to 16 as soon as we possibly can. Every single one of you. If I don't know how many of you are not subscribed, but if you're subscribed, we could get to 16 right now. So subscribe, smash the like button, helps you spread these videos and streams out to more people. And just because I'm just, the self-promo stuff, listen, please click the link to Pice's website down in the description, chelseafc365.com, all your latest Chelsea news, analysis of players, of new signings, of games, of all sorts of things. So all your written Chelsea content, get it on Pice's website. Link is down in the description. Like I say, please follow Pice and Clutch on their Twitters and myself. Links are all down in the description. But yeah, we're going to leave it here. Thank you guys for watching. What a start to 2023, eh? What a start. Couldn't have gone any better. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Up to Chelsea, upwards and onwards. And we'll see you next time.